don't think Euphoria is for Zoomers.
It's not. That's the
show
thing. Was clearly written. I had this insight. The show is clearly written for adults to understand what it's like to be a teenager, and of course some Zoomers do watch it because they just inevitably watch and consume a lot of media.
Right.
So it's incidental.
But I don't think it is an accurate reflection of Zoomer reality whatsoever.
No, not at all.
There's not even an autistic person on
there. There is not. And they really ticked the one good thing I can say about Euphoria that I really liked is that they ticked all the boxes. Like they kind of played by the rules. They have like a trans person, a fat person, a mixed chick who's like
bisexual,
a closeted gay guy. They have like this whole kind of menagerie of pro woke types.
The focus grouping
they focus grouped it basically, but they have resisted at the same time the need to like moralize in a woke way. They don't really necessarily tell you what to think. They don't know. I mean, it's like these teens, they do bad and fucked up things, but there isn't any kind of like, so far, there isn't any kind of like woke politics that's being thrust down your throat.
Yeah. Well, it's very salacious. It's like, that's sort of the point of it, I think, is to titillate rather than to moralize.
Right.
But I do think with the fat girl, it does have this like empowerment kind of narrative. Like her storyline is sort of about feeling empowered as being a fat person.
Really? Wait, hold on. But see, I didn't read it that way. I read it as a relatively like pathetic and hilarious trajectory of going from being a fat loser to a fanfic writer on Tumblr to like inevitably a cam girl.
Okay. No, that's a fair take.
I think that you can read it both ways. Like you can read it as this annoying, moralizing empowerment narrative, but you can also read it for what it is, which is like kind of empty and depressing in reality, because all of these things, all kind of online involvement is ultimately empty and depressing.
Sure.
And these kids.
Well, what happens with her? What ends up happening?
She gets empowered and starts dressing like Adelia's catalog.
Yeah, her glow up
like
is
some Zonnie Bane harnesses from 2008. Yeah, and then starts like fucking and sucking with guys, like randomly having sexual encounters.
She fucked that carny or something.
She fucks the carny. She fucks the nice boy who sits next to her in class.
Oh yeah.
And he's the only one who like actually like eats her out and gives her pleasure.
Ooh, right. I remember seeing that in my fucked up
in your hate.
I watch Euphoria like I'm on Euphoria.
Yes,
I'm like I'm like doing fentanyl basically. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on in this show.
But like she basically she realizes that empowerment is empty and demoralizing and actually disempowering. But there's no kind of like, above board woke scoldy narrative about trans and fat acceptance.
Totally. No, the storytelling is straightforward, which I can get behind. And
it actually made me think that actually woke politics in a way is also about salaciousness and titillation. Like people are curious about how fat or trans people fuck on some level. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like they're morbidly perversely curious. I mean, people are curious about how all other people fuck to a certain extent, and like a lot of woke politics is much like Me Too. There's kind of like a moralizing veneer for what is basically morbid curiosity and salacious interest.
You see this also with like evangelical Christians, like religious extremists, and like the way that they fixate on depictions of like sinfulness. And like there's this documentary Hell House about like the fundamentalist Christians who make like a haunted house that's like about going to hell, but they're so obsessed with like with depicting like the horrible sins and the abortions and everything. It's like they fixate on it in a similarly like morbid way.
Yeah, because they're titillated and horny by the thought of getting your genitals flogged in
Did
like
Euphoria make you horny?
an inflamed landscape. A little bit, but not excessively.
Yeah. It made me pretty horny, gotta be honest.
There's a lot of like nudity and sex.
Yeah. That's not how teens, like the thing really that I would love to see is like how horrifying sex is when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
And the fact that these like TV teens are so like articulate about their fears and anxieties is like not
at all plausible. And
yeah.
I mean, the thing is like all these millennial showrunners who make shows about teens have forgotten what it's like to be a teen. I barely remember.
Yeah, exactly. These like Gen X millennial cuspers trying to like depict Zoomer reality is really there really should have been a autistic neurodivergent part. Like I would have much I don't know. I think like if you're really gonna try and depict the lives of teens,
where is the wheelchair?
Where's the, you know, autistic Catholic one? Where's the
Dasha, are you trying to write yourself into the show?
I'm simply too old.
Yeah, I mean, all of those people are like 24.
I know. Yeah. And they're like oversexed, playing these like oversexed teens.
Yeah. And they're, but like kind of also sexless. Like they have all the like accoutrement trappings of sexuality, but they don't convey necessarily any real libido, which I think is the point. Like I like the treatment of the Rue character because she's so kind of dead inside from all the drugs and all the
yeah, but at the same time I don't really care about Rue's plight.
Well, that's an interesting thing that it actually taught it's interesting because Rue is a character who is morally ambiguous and not necessarily likable, and those are my favorite characters, unlikable characters that you have a weird sympathy for. I mean, Tony Soprano,
sure,
Kenny Powers, Larry David, all kind of
classic anti-hero
great
stuff.
Anti-heroes. And with Rue, I simply, you're right, don't care about her storyline or narrative. I care way more about the other characters' narratives. They're more interesting.
Which storyline was the most intriguing to you?
That's a good question. Probably
the boy. I liked the angry closeted boy.
Yeah, that's probably the most meaty one.
Yeah. And he hits his girlfriend and stuff, or he chokes her.
Yeah.
And then he meets up with the trans and he tells her, he like blackmails her, and his dad is like transamorous or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like that's like compelling. The one I hate the big titty girl and her storyline of like her boyfriend thinks she's a slut, but like is she a slut or not? Like so like I was like, who fucking
to be liked and fell in love with every guy that she was with.
Also, I thought it was a fucking cop out that her dad was dead, because I really want another thing I'd love to see on TV. In addition to Aspergian people, it would be like this is a note I wrote to myself when I was fucking drunk as hell. I wrote, the big titty girl's dad is dead, so he doesn't even have to confront her big titties. But I think what I'm getting at is like I want to see like father-daughter like incest like anxieties depicted, and I think the fact that like
he dies.
I
also think the way that they handled his death is, or he disappeared. It's kind of, they left it up to us to just, it's like Tony Soprano, did he or didn't he? But I really think he should have just died in the car crash instead of become a opiate addict.
Yeah.
I didn't like that arc. It was kind of
it's just there because they're trying to fit in all these like
different
aspects of contemporary. Yeah, they're like, and people do opiates, and people, you know.
And I love the Cassie storyline about all she ever wanted to be was a professional figure skater, and then her huge tits thwarted her dreams of doing like triple axels because she's just like weighed down.
Yeah,
there's a certain like lack of narrative continuity and plausibility in the character arcs of the characters interacting with their parents. I love Cassie's drunk mom though.
Oh yeah, totally.
Or, like, Tina Fey, Sarah Palin, like Marianne Williamson, drunk ass hoe mom.
Totally.
what does she tell the black boyfriend? It's kind of hard to keep her attention, just like mom or whatever.
Yeah, that rocks.
Yeah.
And and her sister is Judd Apatow's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, how is rehab? That's me. That's how I'm going to be when I'm a mom.
Yeah, like
I'm going to send my kids to boarding school. And then when
to the WeWork
mommy
school.
needs...
The Wing will probably open a boarding school by then. We'll send our daughters to the Wing.
Girl Boss Academy.
Yeah.
You got to go.
I know everybody was kind of talking about how hot the Nate character. He's like if Jake from 16 Candles was also Patrick Bateman, that guy, the hot closeted one.
Yeah, he is hot. I like the mole on his stomach.
Yeah, I love that the child actor they cast to play his young self also had a mole on his stomach. Like they really nailed that one.
Yeah.
For me, it was all about the stupid little Mac Miller wigger with a heart of gold.
Oh my God. Yeah, he was a good character.
So hot.
He was hot. Yeah.
I love his scraggly beard. I love chicken shit wigger like Post Malone, Kid Rock.
Stop, Anna. You've said wigger so many times on this episode.
But I like that narrative because there's a scene where she's basically beating down his door.
Yeah, that was very powerful.
It was a powerful scene.
Good acting.
And she says, drug addicts always do this. They'll start with, I had a bad day, please. Then they'll insult you. You're a drug dealer who sells drugs to teens. And then they'll blame you. You did this to me.
Yeah.
They always do that. And he says in episode 6, he tells her, you're a drug addict. I don't take anything and he says, I don't take nothing drug addicts say personally. I'm gonna do it in my own.
Cool.
Because I don't believe drug addicts. I love you, I hate you, you the best, go fuck yourself, it's all the same shit, you just looking for an angle in. And I was like, yes, that's powerful TV writing.
That's good stuff. So true.
It's like Lana Del Rey lyrics, the best type of cliche. Because it's true, we've all been around addicts.
Yeah. And
they're always just looking for an angle in. They're always trying to get up in the house to steal
your laptop,
silverware. Yeah, or your laptop.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I didn't hear that part. I probably watched it, but I wasn't. I was in a Euphoria like state, up with my roommate Kyle. Doing God knows what, drinking White Claw.
Like basically reliving like a rave scene in Euphoria. What did you think of the trans character?
I thought she was good. I don't know. I thought she was a good actress. I didn't have, I think people really applauded it for the way it like depicted her. I wasn't like, I don't know. I'm not going to pat them on the back for it. I think it was fine. What happens with her? Her and Rue are gay together?
They sort of embark on a quasi relationship, but she basically
I'm bisexual.
Aren't we all? She meets guys like Dominant Daddy, who it turns out is Nate's.
Right. I know that. And then what happens later?
And then Nate blackmails her because he is in love with her but also hates her.
He's transamorous but also transphobic.
Yeah, because she brings out all these confusing impulses in him.
She says, I think you're a faggot just like your daddy. Love that.
I love that.
That's good TV writing.
Love that for you.
What ends up happening though? She's okay.
I think the last time I checked, she went to some party with a bunch of cool lesbians and made out with another hot mixed chick who, quote, reminds her of Rue. That's where I left it.
Okay.
It's unclear what happens to her. I'm just worried that Fezco is going to get killed by the guy with the face tattoos, who's also an impeccable
really
actor.
Scary.
He's
actor.
Really scary.
Ooh.
It actually literally reminds me of the kind of guys I used to hang out with when I was in high school and was desperately fleeing my dysfunctional upbringing and would literally go to weird motels and have sex with shitty, creepy guys.
Yeah.
And like,
God,
I look back on that time and think like, what the fuck was I doing in like a strip mall strewn New Jersey?
Oh my fucking God. Las Vegas?
Yeah, which is basically New Jersey with palm trees or vice versa. Las Vegas with snow.
Dark.
Yeah, it was like a really dark time being a teen.
Darker than Euphoria, honestly.
Well, that's the thing, that Euphoria kind of plays with it, but doesn't really convey what it's like growing up in kind of an economically depressed but seemingly normal suburban sprawl, where you have this weird mixture of legitimately poor people,
Right.
like immigrants, minorities, trailer trash, like white trash, and then also aspirational strivers who work jobs in the
Right.
city and commute every day.
Yeah.
And it's a
From
very
the McMansion or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a
These
very
very, like, bourgeois.
scary upbringing, and also very legitimately multicultural. And they somehow fail to convey that in Euphoria, even though they have this like really diverse
because they almost
roster of,
treat
like,
it as such a novelty when it's actually, I don't know, so
par for the course.
Yeah, it's so
ordinary.
widespread and ordinary and banal, actually, and like
Actually,
not unique to the current young generation.
yeah, it's something that has been around for since you know the inception of like contemporary America.
Yeah.
But a show that I don't personally love all that much, but that did that well, is Breaking Bad. The casting was really good on that.
Sure. No, Breaking Bad was, I guess, I mean, I watched it.
It was,
But that's the thing. It's just TV is so manipulative.
it is, yeah. That's a good way of putting
It's so, yeah. It's like aims are so, I don't know. They
TV
they lack the virtue of the
boyfriend
cinematic art.
Yeah.
No,
No,
like gaslights you into continuing to watch it. So
Well, because-
again, I'll reiterate so that you can like go to work again. You know,
Yeah,
so you can like
just
wake up
make
the
it
next
through the
day
day.
and go to sheeple. Wake up, sheeple. No, of course. I mean, yeah, people watch TV. It's great. Good for them.
Yeah, I would love to see a faithful adaptation of life in one of these like nameless, faceless suburban shitholes.
I mean, films can accomplish that.
Yeah.
But that's not how TV is designed. You know?
Yeah, I guess its seriality is its blessing and its curse.
Yeah.
I also thought it was like the treatment of like the post 9/11 landscape was rather shallow. I would have
Yeah.
liked more about that, because she has
Totally.
like OCD, BPD, anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. She's like medicated and then becomes a drug addict. She has panic attacks. She's literally like if Tony Soprano was a hot mixed chick, but yet you feel no
and that's
sympathy
in the
for her.
pilot. Yeah, that's like she describes like remembering 9/11 when she was a child, and that being this like. But yeah, it is like shallow. You're right.
But that's kind of the most interesting thing about like Zoomer culture. It's this like whole Fukuyama end of history thing.
Totally.
Like ominous, like a generation of people who grew up with no historical narrative or historical continuity, like no sense of anything that came before them, and therefore can't possibly imagine anything that'll come after.
A true kind of nihilism, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't.
That doesn't really.
They're just having a little too much fun, these teens.
Yeah.